I'm delighted to be here with you. Welcome. I'm going to be talking about what I consider to be one of the most exciting parts of my wealth series. I'm going to be talking about holistic wealth and how you can design for yourself a completely wealthy life. Now, when we talk about wealth, most people have a picture. And the reason is simply because we think in pictures. Whenever we think, we have pictures and images that come to the screen of our mind. And so when you hear the word wealth, for some people, they have a picture of beautiful cars, beautiful homes, beautiful yachts, beautiful people. Some other people have pictures of a bank account with a number of zeros and so many commas. Others have a picture of a financially free life, debt-free, with no worries, no trouble in relation to money. Others might think about a purposeful driven life, passion, life with loved ones. And so individually, we all will define wealth differently. It's a subjective word, and rightly so. However, I want to talk about wealth as a complete word. Everything that might come to your mind as a picture, in most cases, is connected to some level of material wealth. But that is the lowest level of wealth. There are 3 levels of wealth I'm going to share with you. And those 3 levels of wealth complete what I call the wealth equation. Now, everything in life, everything comes in parts. Darkness is incomplete without light. Happiness is not complete without some level of sorrow. You wouldn't understand the joy of winning except you had an idea, maybe not emotionally alone, maybe intellectually you had an idea about what it would mean to lose. We call it the law of polarity, the law of opposites. So everything comes in parts. Now, if I had a glass of water in my hand, you would call that water. It's also called a compound. The compound is made up of 2 parts of hydrogen mixed with 1 part of oxygen. Mix it in that proportion, you get H2O. It's a colorless compound, it's an odorless compound. I can drink it, it will nourish me because it's complete. It's perfect in its composition. Now, if for some reason I decided that I was going to change the composition, let's say, for example, I decided that I was going to mix 2 parts of hydrogen instead with 2 parts of oxygen. Now I've created a new compound. We call it H2O2. In other words, some people call it hydrogen peroxide. It's a colorless compound. It's an odorless compound. The difference is if I drink it, it would kill me instead of nourish me. And that is the same principle in life. If you change the equation, if you alter the composition of the equation, you alter the results, you change the outcomes. Many people are not living a purely complete wealthy life because they've altered the equation. Now, the wealth equation comes in 3 parts: spiritual wealth, mental wealth, and physical wealth. Combined together, you have holistic wealth. It's beautiful when you see it. You know it when you're around it. But how can you and I design that life? Because that is what we should aspire for. When we think about prosperity and wealth, we're not talking about material possessions alone. Now, the definition of wealth that we have in relation to money is not incorrect. It's just incomplete. And what I want to do in the next few minutes is show you the other parts to make that equation complete so that the outcomes is exactly what you want. Now, I talk about success a number of times, and I talk about it in various ways. One of the things I say about success is simply an equation. You have 3 parts. You have achievement, that you get by having goals and achieving your goals and pursuing and trying to produce and trying to grow, that in itself doesn't create happiness. It might give you a feeling of accomplishment, but it doesn't create fulfillment. Fulfillment is a second category that you get by doing specific things. Now we're talking about happiness, joy, peace. That doesn't always come from achieving goals or achieving your targets. You have to fashion happiness and fulfillment into your life. And finally, we have lifestyle, which is how do you live? How do you get along with people? How do you interact with people? What about wisdom? What about purpose? What is the meaning of life? How can you make a difference? All of those three parts make the success equation complete. So your responsibility and my responsibility as individuals is to constantly keep looking for ways to make our lives more meaningful. The first level of wealth is spiritual. Now, to understand the spiritual level of wealth, you must recognize who you are. Now, I found from my study that the more I studied me and I looked for answers to make my life better, the more I realized that I'm no different from you. As a matter of fact, my skin color might be different, but who I am on the inside bears a close similarity to who you are on the inside. The reason is because we're from the same source. And so as I studied myself, I realized that I was studying you. And as I understood myself, I understood you. Now, to understand and appreciate the spiritual level of wealth, you must recognize that there's a part of you, a part of your personality that is also a spirit. I'm going to jump ahead of myself here because this is so exciting. It took me a long time to realize this. I talked about parts and how we're made up of various parts, and the equation is only complete when you have the composition in the right way. Now you are made up of parts. My personality is made up of parts. I am not my body. I am not what you see. The best part of me, no one would ever get to see, not with the natural eyes. And the reason is simply because I am a spirit. I live in a body. I have a mind. Some people call it a soul. It doesn't really matter what you call it. But the fact is, there are three parts of my personality. Now I'm going to draw myself. I'm a spirit. I have a mind. I live in a body. I have a physical body. You call this body. But there are three levels of wealth: spiritual, mental, physical. So to experience holistic wealth, you have to experience wealth on all three levels. This is only possible if you understand that the three levels of wealth are connected. But they also operate independently. And by this I mean, you can have a really great spiritual experience, a spiritual level of wealth, and be financially poor. You can also be spiritually wealthy and have poor health. You can have a great mind and be financially poor and spiritually poor. So how do we get all three in the right composition? Now it begins through study. Now what you're doing right now is you're studying. And I know by the end of this session, you will have a clearer idea about what you can do. Now at the spiritual level is the recognition that I am a spirit. And all I have to do is express myself. In other words, I am wealth. Wealth is not something external to me. I am. And if I choose to be wealth, then I have to express myself. Now, how do you get into the spiritual level of wealth and make it manifested in your life? Very simple. The simple ways. Gratitude. Gratitude is a key to wealth. It's a pathway towards your true nature. Why? When you're grateful, you can't be sad at the same time. When you're truly grateful, you can't be unhappy. You can be fearful, because gratitude draws you close to the source. Now think about this. If you had a tree that was planted by the riverside, next to a bank of water, this tree will stay healthy. The closer the tree is to the water, the closer the roots can reach in and draw from the source. So gratitude draws us closer to our true source, who we are and where we're from. And in that state, you're beautiful, because now you're operating and you're close to your true identity. Another way to express spiritual wealth is through what we call benevolence or giving. Now, this is important. The next way of expressing your true nature is true love. I'm not looking for love. I am love. You are love. And love has to do one thing. The first sign of love is to give. And that is the reason why benevolence connects you to your true nature, because you're expressing yourself. Remember, the spiritual level of wealth, you're expressing yourself. So whenever you're in a pure state of love, I'm not talking about physical love. I'm not talking about fleshly love. I'm not talking about lust or infatuation. I'm talking about pure love. The love for self and the love for another. The love that says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. When you're in that state of pure love, you have spiritual wealth. Now, why was Mother Teresa considered a wealthy woman? She just had so much love. And that love kept her in the spiritual level, in that state. Now, she didn't have physical wealth, but she had spiritual wealth. So, there's so many ways. When you're living your purpose, when you're living your true life's purpose, then you're doing what you were born to do. And whilst you're doing what you were born to do, you're expressing your true nature. Now, have you ever seen people who are doing what they were born to do? They light up the whole stage. They're excited. In their presence, they feel alive. They can go for hours without eating. They don't feel a thing. They may not have money, but when they're doing what they are born to do, you just sit back and watch them glow and glide. Why? They're expressing their true nature, which is what all of us were born to do. I personally believe that if you find your true life's purpose, you become wealthy spiritually, because now you know what to do. Now, there's a difference between knowing what to do and doing what you know. You've got to do what you know. That deals with the spiritual level of wealth. Now, the next level of wealth is the mental level of wealth. At the mental level of wealth is the recognition that everything around you, look around, now do a 180 turn around where you are right now. Everything you see, everything I see here, began in someone's thought. It was created in someone's mind. Someone created an idea, a picture of what they wanted. They studied and they read and they increased their awareness about that idea, and slowly that idea became reality. At the level of wealth, of mental wealth, is recognizing that everything you want begins in your thoughts. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. Whatever you can hold firmly in your heart, you can believe. Whatever you have expectation of achieving, whatever you're willing to put to work with faith, you can achieve. Everything you have in your life begins in your thoughts. Decide who you want to be. Decide what you want from life. Start creating that in your thoughts. And what you find is that you become that person and you will have what you want. So at the mental level, there's recognizing that your mind is your greatest power. It's the greatest power since creation. You have to use it. Everything you want in terms of wealth has to be created first in your mind. Because the spirit cannot operate in the physical world. The reason I'm in this beautiful skin and beautiful body is because my spirit cannot operate in a physical world. My mind helps me create things and takes it from the spiritual to the physical. So your mind is a gateway to creating everything you want. It was William James. Originally, he got this, obviously, from the Bible. It said, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And here is my recommendation to you. Choose your thoughts, because when you choose your thoughts, you're choosing your destiny. At the lowest level of wealth is the physical level of wealth. Now, I should move a step back to the mental level and say, to experience mental level, what you must do is study. Increase your understanding. Increase your awareness. Why? Because you're going to use this for one and only one reason. You're going to use your imagination. Meaning, you're going to use that part of your mind to dream, to create, to design. Now, the world belongs to the dreamers. Your ability to fantasize, to just let that childlike ability of yours to come out and create things. The more you create, the more you develop that muscle you have, the imagination. And the more you can imagine, the more you change your life. So, if you want to express mental wealth, become good at thinking. Now, each and every one of us has 5 senses: sight, sound, touch, taste, smell. But we also have what we call higher faculties of the mind: imagination, will, perception, intuition, reason. Now, these higher faculties is what leads to greatness. And you develop those higher faculties by using your mind more intelligently. The more you develop those higher faculties, the more you create a level of physical wealth that few will be able to believe. Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile. Why? Higher faculty uses imagination. The Wright brothers created flight. How? Imagination and perspective. Abraham Lincoln changed and influenced the world. How? Imagination, perception, reason. He was thinking. Steve Jobs created a huge impact in our generation. Why? Perception, reason, intuition, memory, imagination. The more you allow yourself to dream, to create, to design, you're expressing the mental level of wealth. And the lowest level is physical wealth. That is something we can understand because that's something we can see. Physical wealth comes in a number of areas. There is health, there's material wealth. Health is not something I'm going to discuss because I believe that we all have our perspective and our ways and our opinions about health. But what I would say to you is, life is measured in time. Health is derived from life and therefore is also measured in time. Wealth is derived from life and therefore it's also measured in time, using money. Your physical health is important. And so when you see someone who is healthy, we say they have wealth. Health is wealth because health is well-being. And now I'm not talking about what you look like physically, I'm talking about complete health, nutrition, physique, full complete health. It's not just about health in your body, it's complete health. Health in your mind, health in your spirit. You and I should be experiencing health. I love what James said. He says, I wish that above all things that you will have good health and that you will prosper, even as your soul, even as your mind, even as your spirit prospers. I wish that your body will prosper just like your spirit prospers, just like your mind prospers. But that requires dedication, that requires effort. Now, you know when you're in that state of wealth, true health, when you have good nutrition, you have good physique, you train, you exercise, you build the stamina, you're not prone to sickness very easily. Now, I want to share something with you that I found really powerful. Strangely, I was one of those people who at every certain period of the year, I would have a certain illness. It could be a flu, it could be a cold virus. And it wasn't until I discovered some really basic truth that I changed my health. That truth was simply the understanding, the awareness that health has to be created in the mind. You see, I always used to think that I would be ill. And the law of attraction always works. You're attracting to you whatever you fear. You're attracting to you whatever you want. Whatever thoughts you have, you're emphasizing and you're emotionally getting involved with, you're attracting. Whatever feelings you're associating with those pictures, you're attracting. And it took me a while to recognize that all I needed to do was put a picture of great health in my mind and see myself as completely healthy, see myself as whole, see myself as happy. And I can promise you this, ever since then, I've not had any problem with being ill. Because I have a picture in my mind now that says, I'm healthy, I'm happy. And therefore, I don't think about the thoughts that are negative, and therefore I don't attract those thoughts. I'm sorry I went to the side, I digress for a little bit. Let me come back to what we're talking about, which is about wealth. Focus on your health. Study health. Life begins as a study. Then it becomes a design. Then it becomes a creation. Then it becomes a practice. Then it becomes a lifestyle. But everything begins with study. Find out how things work. Study. Just study. If you study, you'd be amazed what you achieve. Now, let's talk about material wealth. That's something we all relate to. Money. Material wealth is expressed at the lowest level because we're dealing with the physical. Material wealth only comes through wisdom. So you express material wealth through wisdom. But this wisdom begins through study, understanding, and awareness. And these three are simply used to understand the rules of money, the laws of money, the beliefs of the wealthy, the philosophies of wealth. This is what creates material wealth. The application of what you have in terms of knowledge. You see, wisdom is a seed. If you want to harvest, you get the harvest through application. That is how you get the harvest. So everyone who has achieved material wealth understands the laws. There are laws of money, there are laws of wealth, there There are rules of money and rules of wealth. The application of those rules and laws and principles and the obedience to those rules, laws, and principles create wealth. Look around you. Anyone who is wealthy is providing more service, is providing more value than they're paid. As a result of that, they're compensated. I'll give you 3 laws of money, or laws of wealth, and then I'll summarize what we've talked about. Number 1, the law of compensation. Number 2, the law of value. Number 3, the law of profit. The 3 laws are summarized as this. The level of your success will always be based on the service you provide. If you solve problems, if you create value, if you do it exceptionally well, you will be almost impossible to replace. And the more you do that with a view in mind of increasing the profit for people, for a company, the more you're compensated. Material wealth is easy to achieve. All it requires is obedience to the principles and the laws of wealth. If you follow the laws, you achieve the results. It's really that simple. Now, as I summarize, I'm going to start from where I began. Wealth is only complete where you have the 3 parts present: spiritual, mental, physical. Each of those operates independently. Each of those are connected in some way. You must learn how to find holistic wealth. Now, in many of my teachings, I show you how to achieve material wealth through financial freedom. However, you must recognize that purpose, gratitude, love, benevolence, giving. You must understand your ability to imagine, to dream, to create, to use your mind. You must understand that your higher faculties, imagination, will, reason, intuition, perception, have to be developed. And you must study the rules and the laws of money. Do that, and what you will find is that you have holistic wealth, complete wealth, and you find that you prosper. Now, when you have that, we say that you're prosperous. Prosperity is not about money alone.